So this is going to be a very different video. So the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct was last week, and it looks really good. The Switch 2 looks like a really nice upgrade to the regular Switch. The little features that it has are just really nice. The games are awesome. Games like Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza look wonderful, but I would be lying if I said that I was completely and utterly, excited for this, because I am kind of concerned about the Switch 2. Now, there's a bunch of things that I want to talk about in regards to the Switch 2 and give my thoughts, but before we get into this video, I want to make something abundantly clear. I am just stating my opinions here. I know it's kind of a hot take. Some things I might say might be hot takes in this video, but this is just my opinion, and if you don't agree with me, that's totally okay. In fact, I encourage you to tell me your thoughts on the Switch 2 in the comments. I would really appreciate it. But anyways, of course, let's talk about the price. The Switch 2 retails for $450 right now. Now, we don't know what that's going to be like, considering tariffs have been into effect. And while now recently we got news of a 90-day pause on the tariffs, we still don't really know how that's going to play out. We don't know whether the Switch 2 is going to, stay $450. It probably won't be. It'll probably still get a price upgrade. Now, in my personal opinion, I was fine with $450. Would I have pushed for something like $400? Absolutely. But $450, I envisioned the Switch 2 to be between $400 or $500. So $450 was right in the middle for me. What I don't justify, however, is $80 for a video game. That, to me, is absolutely absurd. Mario Kart World looks phenomenal. The game has so many new features to it that just look amazing. All the characters, all the tracks, everything about this game looks wonderful. But man, dude, $80 for it is kind of a big ask. Especially because this is going to send a signal to the gaming industry, giving developers the opportunity to price their games at this price rate. Not to mention, games like Donkey Kong Bonanza are $70, so for some reason, these games aren't consistently $70 or $80. I mean, not like I would want every single game to consistently be $80, but the fact that Nintendo seems to be getting rid of the $60 price tag is kind of absurd. And one thing that just does not sit well with me, and one thing that I question Nintendo's decision on, is the Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games. So basically, Nintendo announced that the Switch 2 editions are going to be Switch 1 games that have, improved DLC or just, improved performance, but you have to pay full price for it. But you can buy an upgrade pack. I don't understand why this can't just be free to begin with. I think that would make a lot more sense, but I guess Nintendo will do what Nintendo will do. Considering games like Super Mario Party Jamboree came out less than a year ago, and it's $20 more. Now, look, some of these look really cool. Jamboree TV for Super Mario Party Jamboree Switch 2 Edition looks really cool, and Kirby and the Forgotten Land getting DLC is always a good treat. But things like Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom just getting frame rate updates, and Nintendo feeling the need to charge an extra $10 for Breath of the Wild and an extra $20 for Tears of the Kingdom just doesn't really sit well with me. I don't quite understand why they're doing that, because you can just give it to people for free, especially when you're giving it free for the Switch Online expansion pack members, but only for Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. What? That to me makes no sense whatsoever. And we're not done talking about things that should be free. No. Nintendo is releasing on the same day as the Switch 2 the Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour. Oh, cool. It's a game that you can get on your Switch. It's kind of like Wii Sports. You can have a fun little tech demo that's completely free with the game, right? Right? Well, no. The Switch 2 Welcome Tour is actually, I don't know the price for certainty. Some people are saying it's like $5, $6, $10. I've heard a lot of $10, but I'm not 100% sure, so take that with a grain of salt. But all I know is that it is a paid downloadable title, so it is going to cost money. So that is very obscure of Nintendo to do that. I don't think Nintendo's bottom line is really going to be hurting that much for giving a free tech demo, especially when it's just as simple as This is how you use your system. Like, why? Why is that? Why do we have to pay money to learn how to use our system? We just spent $450 on a console. Now let's talk about the Switch 2 accessories. We have things like the Switch 2 camera, which, by the way, game chat on the Switch 2, I think is a really neat addition. Nintendo is like a decade or two behind on that, but hey, better late than never, I guess. But there's also a Switch 2 camera that you can connect and show your face on, and that is $50. Why this isn't packed in with the console, or why you can't, use a camera can't be built into the Switch 2 is beyond me. I don't understand why that's the case, honestly. And now let's talk about the game key cards. These are apparently cards that once you put them in your Switch, it will be like a download code almost. So those Switch box games that have like a download code inside them, so you could have just been better off buying them digitally? Yeah, well, this is kind of like that, except not really, because you still don't own the game. It is just a license for the game, which I don't understand why Nintendo is doing this. I just think if you want to make a digital game, make it digital. Don't bother making like a physical version, because part of what makes physical so fun is the fact of opening the game and having the game that you own. With digital, while yes, you do own a part of it, it is staying on your console. So it's only around like once the service stays around, honestly. Now let's get into just some more miscellaneous concerns that I have with the Switch 2. I don't like how there's only 3 GameCube games at launch. I feel like there should have been more. There is this rumor about how the GameCube controller, or I guess it's not a rumor, I guess it was said that the GameCube controller will only work with the Switch Online GameCube app. But I've also read stuff that they said that about the SNES, and that works with everything, so take that with a grain of salt. You also can only use micro SD express cards on the Switch 2. So if you have a normal micro SD card on your regular Switch, you won't be able to transfer that over to the Switch 2. So these are just some concerns that I have with the Switch 2. I am fairly concerned for this console, and I do want to quickly provide some solutions for Nintendo going forward that I think they can do to help the Switch 2 out, because there are things that I am concerned that's going to happen that is going to make this console fail, and I don't want this console to fail because it looks like a pretty solid upgrade. The first thing Nintendo needs to do is to keep the price the same. Keep it at $450. Nintendo, I realize that tariffs are a thing. It's unexpected. It was kind of a last minute thing that happened, but you need to listen. If you price this thing more than $450, if you go into the $500, $600, even $700 territory, this thing is not going to do well. People are going to just stick with their regular Switch, which I know Nintendo has been making statements saying if you can't afford the Switch 2, you should just stick with the Switch 1. But I hate that mentality. Why wouldn't you want players to just upgrade to the Switch 2? It's just perfect for them. But if the console is going to be over double what the Switch 1 is, that's just going to not be enough for people. I just don't really think that's really necessary to do that. And as for the games, Nintendo, you've already made it clear that you're going to price Mario Kart World at $80, but Donkey Kong Bonanza being $70 and should just be the cap. All of the Switch 2 edition games that have $80 price tags should get reduced to $70. I know some of you are saying, why not go to $60? Because I don't think Nintendo is going to do that jump, and I'm trying to be more realistic. Go back to $70. That would be perfectly consistent, since all of the games in the industry are sticking with $70. And and I know, why not suggest the Switch 2 price to go to $400? Trust me, I would like that too. But again, I want to be realistic here. If Nintendo is going to do a price cut to this thing like they did with 3DS, it might just go to $425 instead of $400. I don't see a world where Nintendo drops the price of the Switch 2 by $50. I know it was like $70 with the 3DS. I might be wrong on that, but yeah, I'm not sure about that. If Nintendo can just do these suggestions of keeping the prices the same for the Switch 2 of $450, or if they just discount the games to $70, make that the cap. Don't make these games $80. I think this console can still succeed, but that's just my personal opinion. I still am excited for the Switch 2. As I said in the intro, I am excited for the Switch 2. This isn't a video where I'm saying, like, don't buy the Switch 2, but if you don't want to buy the Switch 2, then that's completely okay. And honestly, I can't really say I blame you, because with some things about the Switch 2 are just kind of anti-consumer. For me, I'm definitely going to get this thing day one, because I am excited for it. I do think games like Mario Kart World look fantastic, and it's just awesome. But those are just some concerns that I have with the Nintendo Switch 2. But what do you guys think? What concerns do you have for the Switch 2? Let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Have a great day. I'll see you on the next one. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.